Good evening and welcome to Real Talk, where every Sunday evening we feature a mini course or a helpful topic to educate you on real topics, real issues, and real solutions. Tonight we have a very special guest. Her name is Kim Morgan. She's also known as Nanny KimKim, and she just won the INA Nanny of the Year. Congratulations, Kim. We're very excited for you.
Thank you.
So Kim's bio is in the feed. You can read about her there. But I wanted to be able to tell you about Kim and to have Kim share a little bit of her story with you for quite a while now. When I very first connected with Kim, I read her story online. And the first thing I did was send her a message and just say, I just want you to know I'm so inspired by what you do and how far you have come in everything that you've worked so hard for. Because at the end of the day, that's really what it has been, is super hard work to achieve and accomplish things that a lot of nannies wish they could do, haven't done, want to do, or are aspiring to. So she has been an amazing inspiration and an encouragement to me personally. And I know other people are going to be inspired getting to know her a little bit tonight too. So I'm really excited to have you here, Kim.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit, as much or as little as you like, kind of about how you ended up as a nanny, how you ended up in New York, whatever you'd like to share, so that people can get to know you a little bit better and know who the INA Nanny of the Year really is?
Sure. Good night, everyone. As you heard, I'm known to most of you as Nanny KimKim. I grew up in the Caribbean island of Saint Vincent and the Grenadines, and that's actually where my nanny career started, on the Grenadine island of Mustique, for a 4-month-old boy from London. And usually we get tons of visitors during the season, which can run from September to March of the following year. And these visitors, when they do come to our shows, they come with their kids. And obviously, they need to enjoy the nightlife, and they do need a nanny. And that's where we come in. And I was very fortunate to have my start there before I migrated to the United States 20 years ago. And coming here, it's like a whole nother life from what we have at home. And it's like you're in a whole new world. You have to start all over again, in terms of your education. And a friend offered me a helping hand to become a part-time nanny for an anesthesiologist working 3 days a week. And it was one of the best options for me. And I went in nervous as hell for the interview, but I gave it my best shot. And then they called back and offered me the position. And I started there. I worked with them for a little over a year while attending college. And after that, I did work as a live-in nanny, where I became full-time now. And I did that, I want to say, for about 4 years, being a live-in nanny. And then I decided I wanted more. So I started going to college on the weekends and part-time work again during the week. And then I became pregnant with my first son. And that was really rough at the time. When I was with that family, I could no longer work with them. I had to be on bed rest. And leading up to that, my passion really for nannying came out when I was told at the age of 23 it didn't seem possible for me to have kids because of a medical condition. But the God we serve, I'm here today. I was able to get pregnant. The journey wasn't easy, but it was well worth it, even though I almost died giving birth. But I'm very proud of I'm a proud mother of 2 boys now who are my world. And to be honest, I get so emotional when I speak about it because our journey hasn't been easy. And I'm very fortunate for having some wonderful people in my life that are not my biological family, but they are my family. And I would never forget all the advice that was given to me when I first came, because I was involved in politics at home, just graduating high school, wanting more for myself, but it wasn't there. And I left in search of a better life. And I remember when I first came and I got the position as a part-time nanny, my adopted father said to me at the time, he's like, if you're going to take gainful employment in this country, you'll have to contribute your taxes. So I'm like, how do I do that? And I still like can apply for tax ID number. So that's how I contributed my taxes. What is now I got to now know as an independent contractor, I pay my taxes quarterly each year. And that has been like one of the biggest thing for me is always fair pay. And a nanny was the one who actually opened up my eye to more by asking the question, how much do I make? I know a lot of people do not like to answer that question when other nannies ask, but I have no problem doing it. But she did that for me. And because of her, I'm now able, for a long time, it took me before I speak up and ask for more. So I would use during my transition between jobs to actually negotiate for a higher wage. And because of her, I'm much stronger now to be able to advocate for myself and say, hey, this is what I want. And if they're not offering it, I move on to the next.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I so often when I talk to nannies, we talk about that topic. People say to me all the time, well, you're so confident. That's why you get what you're asking for. But a lot of times we're not very confident. And sometimes it takes somebody else coming alongside us to challenge us or to support us. So to whomever that nanny was, thank you for being.
I'm actually still searching for who she is today. I only know her by her first name as Mary, and I know she's also Trinidadian. So those are the only two things I know about her. But this was like, what, 18 years ago? Because at the time it was in 2002 when we had that conversation.
Yeah. But those are important conversations to have, absolutely. And they're still important today because so many nannies don't understand that they have that ability if they believe in themselves and are willing to advocate for themselves. But a lot of times it takes someone like you to come alongside them and to teach them and to show them. So I love that you now have a platform as the INA Nanny of the Year to be able to speak to a huge audience of nannies and to share your experience and your encouragement with them. That's awesome.
Yeah. And another thing I say to my nannies, whether you're new, seasonal, because I can only speak for New York because this is where I am living. Like a lot of people don't have a resume. And I remembered when I walked into an interview with my employer, whom I worked with for 6 years, she said to me, I presented her my resume and my business card. And she was kind of shocked. And after she offered me the position, she said to me, I called everyone I know and tell them that imagine you came and offered me a resume and a business card. And she's like, for a nanny position. So I asked her, what does she do? And she stated her profession. And I said, you love what you do, right? And she's like, with a passion, I spent a lot of money for it. So I said, so do I, but many of you look down on us as nannies, especially a lot of us that works as nannies here are career nannies. And we are undocumented, most of us. And a lot of employers look down on us to say, well, okay, they're just here taking care of my kid or whatever the case may be. And that's not it. Most of us are also educated. But leaving our country and coming here, they don't recognize our degrees. So we have to start all over. And I said, I'm very passionate about what I do. And I treat it just like any other profession. So if I was a lawyer, a teacher, I would have had to present that person with a resume. And I treat this as the same. And that's what I want a lot of nannies to start doing, is treat your profession like any other profession. Be very professional about it. You go in for an interview, you present them with a resume. You don't have to do business cards, but you also create your portfolio. Mm-hmm. So your previous families, I always ask for a reference letter 6 months into my employment. And if it lasts longer, at the end of our employment, I'll ask them to refresh that recommendation letter. So, for example, for nannies whose relationship ends on a bad note, you already had that recommendation letter for your portfolio, where that employer said all the nice things about you when everything was going well. So that's my strategy that I am going to leave with some of you, that you can start doing and start creating your portfolios.
Absolutely. That's such great advice all across the board. You touched on something when you were speaking there. You mentioned passion. You mentioned that this is your passion. What in particular about working with children are you passionate about? I know that, for me, for example, I'm really passionate about working with babies, with newborns and little ones before they're verbal. I can read their cues. I can really understand what they're communicating. And I really just have that ability to sense their needs and to be able to meet their needs. And I love working with them. But when I get to the older kids, I don't know anything. And there's other people that are experts in that. What is it that you're passionate about? What age do you like to work with and why? What is it that you love?
Like, I'm an only child, and I always wanted a sister, not even a brother. I wanted a sister. And unfortunately, I didn't have that. And when I came here, the first baby I worked with, he was 4 months. And I've always loved babies. And when I came here, I got a baby. He was 4 months as well. And then the next family I went with was older children. And I'm all about instilling habits, not breaking them. So as I got out in the nanny field, I learned about, well, in New York, they call it baby nurse, but we all know the terminology now is newborn care specialist. And that's where they only deal with babies. Like, they go in and they help parents within that first 4 to 6 months after being born. And unfortunately, all my nanny positions started with either 2 months, 4 months. So I got comfortable in that. And I started investing in courses that geared towards that age group 0 to 12 months. And just from learning and going back and educating the parents, I know whom my target family to work for was first-time parents and with children in the age group 0 to 12 months. And that is what I thrived on all these years, because I love educating parents. I love learning more, because within this industry, you have to stay current, because things get changed every single day. And in order for you to give the parents the best advice possible so they can make the best informed decisions for the children, you have to stay current in your education in order to do so. And I quickly realized that that's my niche, and that's what I thrive on. That's where I run, and I educate myself in it. And it's a blessing and to see the passion, the joy, and the parents' face when, I take a training and I come back and then implement everything that I've learned into my work environment. And they're like, oh, I didn't know. And you did this. And I'm like, yes, because that's the training, what I'm trained for. And just the joy of their face. But with the children, I like to help them accomplish different things, like to see them take their first step. That's my accomplishment as well. To hear them speak their first word, That's my accomplishment as well. And I love that. Like just today at work, and the dad came up and the baby, and I'm like, who's that? I referred her to his name and I said, who's that? And she goes, Dada. And just to see his face light up, that's what I love. I love to bring that feel good feeling to the parents.
Yeah, absolutely. Empowering parents, empowering other people is such an important part of what we do. What advice would you have for somebody who is either new to the nanny industry or an aspiring nanny about how they can really kind of launch themselves from either I think I want to do this or I'm brand new to this and I'm not sure, where I'm going or what I'm doing. What advice would you give them?
So for someone new getting into this industry, I'll say, yes, you can pick and choose when you first start. So you're going to take whatever comes your way. I spoke before about advocating for your worth. You may not get what you want right away. So you have to start very little. I started at $8 an hour, and to me that was a lot, but to others it was not. So you have to make that start. It may not be what you want, but you get your foot in the door and you grow. And as you grow, you excel. And when I say you excel, you invest in yourself. Attend international nanny training days, immerse yourself in online. Like I hear a lot of nannies say, oh, I'm not joining Facebook. But Facebook has a wealth of information if you join these nanny groups. You don't have to join Facebook and add a lot of friends, but just for the nanny environment and the networking, the information, it's there. Get involved. You don't have to comment, but start. Once you get your foot in the door, then you build on that. Because a lot of parents now, they're asking for more. And if you don't have more to show them, then they're going to move on to the next person. And for those of us who are already established in this field, same thing. Be professional about what you do. Make that investment in yourself. Have stuff on paper. Not just, you might be knowledgeable up here, but parents need to see physical evidence. Like when I present my portfolio, they're like, oh, you did that class? What is this? And that's what I love explaining to them. So, like I said, invest in yourself, gain that knowledge so you can also share that knowledge with parents so they can better help and make the best informed decisions for their children.
Absolutely. So you've accomplished a lot over the last 20 plus years. But in this past year, you've really accomplished a lot.
I've really accomplished a lot.
Can you tell us a little bit about just some of the things that you've done this past year and kind of some of those big things that you've accomplished and that people should be encouraged about accomplishing?
And that's the thing. Like I said, when you go to the interview, you speak out and you advocate for what you want. It's either a yes or a no. Simple as that. Like I walk in on an interview and I speak about the INA. I speak about Nanny Palooza and International Nanny Training Day. I speak about all those. And I said, would you be willing to offer professional development stipend? And they would ask, what is that? And I would say, that's just additionally in terms of what you pay me, that I would use for these professional developments, whether my CPR or these conferences or trainings. Mm-hmm. Secondly, if you don't do that or you can't afford to do that, would you be so willing to offer some professional developmental days? And that's where I'll still be paid, even though I attend these trainings. And that's what I did. All my employers, they have been very supportive of everything that I want to do. And my last employer did a lot. And for that, I'm truly grateful, because we had a budget of $500, but they spent even more than that. And I took a sleep training course with Summer. I completed my foundational newborn training, and they saw how effective that was, that they end up paying for the advanced course as well. And I passed all of that, implemented sleep training the baby, and they end up paying for my cash certifications through Nanny Stella Inc. And when I got that back, that was like the biggest highlight of my year. Like, if everything else I had achieved, like graduating newborn care solutions foundational training and advanced training, but the cash was the highlight of my year, because I remember asking the question, if who all in New York is certified, is cash certified, and I was told that they don't have that information. I would have to ask Nanny Stella, because I was about to make a post on Facebook and I didn't want to say something without fact checking it. And I reached out to Nanny Stella and I said, I know Julia LaForce is the only cash certified nanny in New York. Would it be fair if I were to say I'm the first cash certified newborn care specialist in general in New York? And she responded and said, you would be fair in making that statement. So when she said that, I was so thrilled, and I said, thank you so much for bringing this high level of education to the USA. And she said, it's my pleasure to have you starting the trend. And like I said, that was like the biggest highlight. But with all of that accomplishment, graduating the foundational training, achieving my cash, what transpired after that with the conversation between us, like I said, well, that's not the end of it, you know. Newborn care solutions have the elite program, and like I said, I always aspire for more. Once I complete one task, I move forward. And she said, tell me more. And I told her how it's done. Quickly got her computer and we were on there, and I said, this is so what I want to do. And so I was really, really, really looking forward to that professional development to kind of help, because they were going to increase it. And then they told me that they would be moving. And I'm like, oh no. And she's like, no, don't say that. We are always going to support you, So, hey, this year I started off on the journey of being in your elite program, which has been very great so far, because my next step is to open up my own business. That's what I want to do, like my own newborn care LLC business. And my target is to do it in 5 years. I know it takes less than that to achieve it, but that's my target, because you can't just start and go straight into full NCS. Like, I've been learning from a lot within the industry that you still revert to nannying until you really, really, really establish yourself. Then you can make that full transition. So my target to this is 5 years. So being in the elite program this year is really, really, really awesome. And that's my first step in achieving my goal.
Well, we are honored to have any small part to play in supporting and encouraging that. So we're thrilled to have you in the elite program, especially since it is something, where you do have to apply and you have to be accepted into the program, and to have somebody as phenomenal as you in there just makes it all look better. So we're thrilled to have you. Is there anything else tonight that you really feel that you want to share with the nanny community, with our audience? We have parents who watch, we have agencies, we have other educators, we have industry professionals, non-professionals. Anything else that you want to share? It's your platform to to share whatever you want to share tonight.
I remember during the process to becoming a nominee, we had like 8 essays to do. And one that really stood out to me was being paid fair and legally. And that's one of the things in New York. Like I said, you would hear me say New York because this is where I live. I cannot speak about other states. And in order for things to change here in New York, it starts with us as nannies when we go on our NCSs, when we go on interviews, to start advocating more for ourselves, because some of these parents, they don't know. So we who know, unless we speak up, they don't know. Some of them do know, but they choose not to do the right thing. Like, for example, newborn care specialists here in New York, you hear they work 24 hours for $300 a day. Now, when you do the math and you break it down, it's less than minimum wage. And a lot of people get taken advantage with that. And when you move from one family to the next, you're not giving the chance to advocate with that new client for yourself, because the previous one would tell them, oh, you can choose Tanya. I paid her $300 a day, so you can pay her the same. And Tanya is not giving that chance to say, no, this is what I would like to be paid. And another thing also for the agency owners, because a lot of this happens in New York. Actually, this was my first year working with an agency, and I must say it has been an absolute experience. Like, again, these are not... Yeah, it kind of went off there for me.
Okay.
Like, again, these are not my experiences with some of my friends. Mm-hmm. They had some terrible agency experiences. And advocate for your workers. State to parents, like, give them upfront, like, say, hey, they should be paid, like, have a set standard rate that you would give to parents, because when taxes is taken out, you need them to have a decent take-home salary. So don't say to parents, oh, $20 an hour. You got to go higher than that, or stop quoting in what the yearly figure is, because when you quote the yearly amount, it seems a lot to the nannies who is not even thinking about breaking down to figuring out what the hourly wage would be. Another thing that I know some of us, we have to advocate for insurance benefits. I just think these things need to be standard in contracts, like paid professional developmental days, insurance, health, dental, vision, a 401 benefit plan. Like, all of these things I think should be standard in an agency contract when being presented to families. Once you start doing that, they're going to get on board and say, okay, this is becoming the norm. I guess this is what we have to adjust to, and nannies, NCSs, start advocating more for yourself, because it all starts with us, for us, and for this industry to actually get on the same leveling ground.
Yeah. Lots of great information, lots of things for a lot of people to think about, and a lot of challenges for them to look at. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing tonight, sharing based on your years of experience, the things you've been through, how you've invested in yourself, and not only advocating for yourself, but encouraging those in the community to advocate for themselves and for us to support each other. That's a huge component of it as well, is for us to reach out, reach around, support, and engulf each other. So I really appreciate you sharing with us tonight. I appreciate that you are such an advocate within the nanny industry, but also in the broader community for people, and that you are making a difference for families and for the future, literally one child at a time. So we're really thankful that you shared that with us tonight, and thank you to having you on as our guest.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So if you have any questions for Kim, please put them in the feed and tag her or tag Newborn Care Solutions, and we'll make sure you get answers if you're watching this on the replay. But you can also put them in the feed right now, and we'll be available to answer questions for you. Thanks for joining us tonight on Real Talk, where we address real topics, real issues, and offer real solutions. Join us here each Sunday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, and have a good night. Thanks for joining.
Good night.
Bye.